Hello. Good evening to all of you. Can you hear me? Hello. 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 Uh, Good evening to all of you. Hello.
Good evening, sir.
We have some more people to join now, so we'll wait for some time. For another 5 minutes, like. We have only about 4 participants. That means we have to have about 30 odd. Can I start now?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Others will Okay. So we finish talking about prenatal development. So we have to talk about other areas of physical development. So we'll move to that. Give me a second. I'll share you share a presentation with you. Hello. 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 Right. Okay. Now, when it comes to physical development, we can divide it into four categories. The first category is prenatal development. Then pre-childhood. Okay. You can take a note on this, right? I think I have already explained you. Physical development, we can divide into some stages. The first stage is prenatal development, then infancy and toddlerhood, then pre-childhood, post-childhood, and adolescence. Right? Did I explain you the times of these stages? Hello. Hello. Why we have less number? Only four participants. Where are the others? Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. Prenatal period is the period prior to the birth, and the period from 0 to 2 years is known as toddlerhood. I mean, from the birth up until 2 years, the period is known as toddlerhood or infancy, and the period from 2 to 7 is known as pre-childhood, and uh, 7 to 11 is known as post-childhood or middle childhood. Then 11 onwards is known as adolescence. So adolescence from 11 to 12 to 18, like 17, like adolescence. From 18 onwards, it is the adulthood. Right. We are not going to talk about the features in the adulthood, but we are going to talk about the features up until then. So first thing, infancy. Right. Now we are going to talk about the physical development of infancy. Okay, infancy. What is the period? 0 to 2 years. As soon as a child is born, right, he is known as an infant, right? So right after the birth, right, he has only usually a child is child uh, child weigh about 4 to 5 kilos, and he is able to perform only very uh, limited motor skills, especially right, like he's able to crawl, he's able to cry, and he's able to smile, and he's able to move his legs and hands and legs. Likewise, few motor skills are there, right? But as it takes time, right, he develops these motor skills. First he has only gross motor skills, but later on he develops fine motor skills, and all these motor skills, all these are developed during this period. Okay, right. We are going to discuss the features in infancy. I take note on features in infancy. Infancy is considered as the period between from the time of birth up until 2 years. During this period, the child is very weak and feeble, and he has only a very limited number of physical movements. These physical movements are known as can be divided into two groups as gross motor skills and fine motor skills. Gross motor skills are his abilities to perform major body functions like moving his body, running, kind of a running, jumping, and all that, crawling and all. Fine motor skills are the skills which involve small muscles like fingertips and all that. Now we'll see what developments take place in a child during this period. The first thing is the period between 0 to 2 years. Okay, right. Now I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Right. Now you can look here. Growth and development of children. Development refers to learning and mastering skills in 4 stages: physical, emotional, mental, and social. Right. Physical development. Physical development includes broad motor skills such as rolling over, standing, walking, running, and sitting, as well as being able to maintain balance, change positions, etc. Physical also includes using fingers and hands to clutch, eat, draw, dress, play, write, etc. Here, right now, gross motor skills are gross motor skills. So, broad motor skills are those uh, functions such as rolling over, standing, walking, running, and sitting, and maintaining balance and changing positions. So fine motor skills are using hands to clutch, eat, draw, dress, play, write, etc. Let's move to the next slide. Right now, we are talking about physical skills. Now, in my presentation, you get some information about the other skills. Emotional skills are how a person feels, how he or she reacts to events and occurrences around her. Does she giggle and laugh at the silliest things, or is she distant likewise? Or as she matures, does she learn to deal with events, or does she get frustrated and angry likewise? So how to control these emotions and what kind of emotional developments take place and all that is discussed under this. Mental and cognitive skills. This includes thinking, learning, understanding, problem solving, reasoning, and remembering. Much of this will be revealed in academic settings such as preschool and beyond. Social skills means what kind of interpersonal skills the child possesses and how he reacts with the people around him. It has to do with personal interactions, developing and maintaining relationships with family, friends, and teachers, cooperating and being sensitive while responding to others. Does she withdraw at parties? Does she enjoy large gatherings or being around a small group of friends? And how does she navigate and interpret the social uh, world around her? So stages of growth and child development, we can divide into these categories: early childhood, middle childhood, and adolescence. This is physical development. Early childhood, this is what we call infancy. Uh, this is the period from 0 to 2. Early childhood, birth. Some of the functions of this early childhood is as a newborn during the first month of life, newborns exhibit automatic responses to external stimuli. What A newborn is able to see close-up objects, recognize certain smells, smile or cry to indicate a need, and move her head from side to side. Newborns may show signs, developmental disabilities such as spina bifida, genetic disorders, and fetal alcohol syndrome. These are some of the development issues they have right now. Then, infant. An infant is from 3 to 6 months. An infant can control his head movements and bring his hands together. During the infancy, right, from 3 to 6 months, an infant can control his head movements and bring his hands together. By 6 to 9 months old, an infant can sit without support, babble and respond to his name. Babble means he can make certain sounds. Between 9 and 12 months old, a baby can pick up objects, crawl, and even stand with support. So infancy, during the infancy, these are the things they are capable of doing. From 12 to infancy is the period we call infancy, or toddlerhood is the period from 0 to 2 years. Actually, after 1 year, right, infancy is over, then he becomes a toddler. As the children reach the age between 1 and 3 years, toddlers learn to walk without help, climb stairs, and jump in place. They can hold a crayon, draw a circle, stack one block on top of another, use short sentences, and even follow simple instructions. So, they come to the preschool age. During this age, between the ages of 3 to 5 years, children refine their motor skills. They can throw a ball overhead, skip and hop, stand on one foot or for 10 seconds or longer, dress themselves and draw a person with features. Then after 5, they come to the school age. We are talking about the free childhood. During this, right, first stage is the infancy, that is 0 to infancy and toddlerhood, so that is 0 to 2 years. Now we are talking about middle childhood, kind of period between post childhood and infancy. Preschool in period and school age. Preschool period is between ages 3 to 5 years. So this is the period they skip a lot of motor skills. They learn, they refine their motor skills. They can throw a ball overhead, skip and hop, stand on one foot for 10 seconds or longer. They can dress themselves and draw a person with features. So when they reach the age of 5, they reach the school age. School age children are 6 to 12 years old. Now we all know, right? We send our children to school once they are 5 years old. From five onwards, they are capable of and confident and independent and responsible. They have peer relationships, particular relationships with friends of the same gender are important to school age children. The older school age child begins to develop sexual characteristics. At the older school age, they start developing sexual characteristics. Right. Now, here in this slide, you can see some of their significant features, physical development. Right. So from 0 to 1 year, what they do is they put everything they hold onto their mouth. 4 months, at 4 months, they sit with support. When at 8 months, they stand. When 9 months, they crawl and they are afraid of falling. 12 months, they are able to grip things very tightly. So the motor development in these stages you can note down. They can grasp toys with one hand. When they're 5 months, they can put their feet in their mouth. They can rattle and bangs when they are about 9 months. Uh, I mean, when 6 months passes, they can hold toys from one hand, change toys from one hand to other. Okay, 1 to 2 years. 13 months, they start walking, right? They can kick and throw the ball, right? And also in the 18 months, right, we can identify with their right hand or left-handed. They are capable of patting pictures on books. When they're 18 months, they climb stairs alone. And also they can stack 3 cubes together, one on top of another when they're about 18 months. 2 to 3 years. So they reach a high activity level. They walk. They are capable of walking and walking backwards as well. Right. They are able to tiptoe and throw balls. They are they unscrew jar and turn doorknob, right, when they during this period. When they're 20 months, 24 months, they can stack 6 cubes together. We, now you can see these stages of development. Prenatal means the period the child spends in his mother's womb, right? So 0 to 1 year old, that is what we called infancy. Then 1 to 2 years is toddlerhood. 3 to 5 years old is the stage of preschooling, and 5 to 7 years is the school of is the period of schooling. No, start in schooling. So the free now we have finished discussing free childhood. So some of the features we have discussed. Now we are going to move. We move to the middle childhood, which is from 8 to 12 years. Historically, middle childhood has not been considered an important stage in human development. Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytical theory labeled this period of life as the latency stage, a time when sexual and aggressive urges are repressed. Freud suggested that no significant contributions to personality development were made during this period. That is what Freud said. We'll see. Okay, during this middle childhood, certain changes occur, right? This is the period when a child's transition takes place from childhood to adulthood. Actually, during this period, okay, the period adolescence, hello. So can also someone call class Okay, right. Adolescence is the period 12 to 18 years. Adolescence is the period of transition between childhood and adulthood. Children who are entering adolescence are going through many changes. I mean, this is a very crucial period, right? Because a lot of changes are taking place during this period. Right. Now, Sigmund Freud, right, develops, describes development in his prudent stages as given here. From birth to 1.5 years, uh, Sigmund Freud is a famous psychologist who has given a very big importance to there is an overemphasis of for Sigmund Freud on sex. So he explains. He divides according to his theory. There are some stages called oral stage, anal stage, phallic stage, latency stage, and genital stage. So during the first birth to 1.5 years is known as the oral stage because the child seeks pleasure only from with his mouth, because he is programmed to suck whatever he grasps, because he's trained, so he's programmed so to suck milk from his mother. So infant's pleasure centers on the mouth. Right. So 1.5 years to 3 years is known as anal stage. Child's pressure focuses on anus. Now, Sigmund Freud says child takes pleasure by uh, controlling his bowels and all that. Right. Phallic stage, child's pressure focuses on genitals, 3 to 6 years. During this period, right, the child seeks pleasure, right, on focusing his attention on genitals, it seems. Then the latency period, 6 years to puberty, is known as the latency period. Child represses sexual interest and develops social and intellectual skills during this period. Then the puberty onwards, genital stage, a time for sexual reawakening. Source of sexual pleasure becomes pleasure becomes someone outside the family. According to Freud's psychosexual theory, child development occurs in a series of stages focused on the different pleasure areas of the body, as I described earlier. During each stage, the child encounters conflicts that plays a significant role in the course of development. Okay. Now, when it comes to Erickson's physiological development theory, you can see now Erickson, he has also defined some stages. According to him, infancy is the first year, and there are some stages called trust versus mistrust. Description of the task. If needs are dependently met, infants develop a sense of basic trust. Toddler, 2-year-old. The stage is known as autonomy versus shame and doubt. Toddlers learn to exercise will and do things for themselves, or they doubt their abilities. Now, preschooler, 3 to 5 years, initiative versus guilt. That means preschoolers learn to initiate tasks and carry out plans, or they feel guilty about efforts to be independent. Elementary, 6 years to puberty, competence versus inferiority. Children learn the pleasure of applying themselves to tasks or they feel inferior. So these are the stages: trust versus mistrust, autonomy versus shame, initiative versus guilt, industry versus inferiority, identity versus role confusion, intimacy versus isolation, generality versus stagnation, and integrity versus despair. Some of the theories of learning, right? Classical conditioning, operant conditioning, observation, learning. Okay. Now we have discussed some of the child development theories. Some of the psychologists have pointed out their theories. They have given certain theories for child development. Among these are, right, as shown here, socio-cultural theory, cognitive development theory, psychosexual development theory, social learning theory, psychosocial development theory, behavioral child development, and attachment theory. Likewise. Now, Sigmund Freud's erection stage, psychological development. This erection stages of psychological development, this is related to the social development. So we come to cognitive development. We talk about Piaget's cognitive developmental theory. Then Bandura's social learning theory, and there are so many other theories. Give me 2 minutes. I'll come back.
Hello, sir. We couldn't hear you.
Yeah, wait. Now I'm going to share a note with you, right? Uh, Give me a second. I'm searching for it. Okay, I'm going to share it with you now. Okay, now see growth and development note. Normal development refers, right? Normal development refers to learning and mastering skills in four categories: physical, emotional, mental, and social. Although separately categorized, they are all linked and occur simultaneously at each stage. Physical includes broad motor skills such as rolling over, standing, walking, running, and sitting, as well as being able to maintain balance, change positions, etc. Physical also includes using fingers and hands to clutch, eat, draw, press, play, write, etc. Can you write it down, please? Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, sir.
Then now this is the note. Right now, I'm sharing it. Can you write it down, or what can you do? Can you save it?
Yes, sir. We will take a screenshot.
Take screenshots. When you take one shot, you let me know so I can scroll through. Right? Okay, the first one. Okay, you take it now. Have you finished taking the screenshot? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then next one. You can take it now. Now you can take. Are you taking the screenshots? Hello. Hello. Now I'm scrolling so that you can take the screenshots. This is child development theories. Freud's psychosexual development theory. You can take it. Erickson's psychosocial development theory.
Hello, sir. Can you send this as a PDF to the group?
This as a PDF. I'll try. Right. As a PDF.
So when you are moving, we are unable to take screenshots.
Okay, okay. From where do you want? You tell me. I'll hold it for 2 to 5 seconds. Shall I start from here? Okay, from the beginning, I'm going to give you now. Okay. Now I'm going to change it. Next one. Stages of growth and child development. Have you taken all the photos? Screenshots? Hello. Have you?
Yes, sir. We are taking.
Okay, I'll try to send it as a PDF also. Right
Thank
now,
you, sir.
let's go to the beginning of this note, and I'm going to explain right now growth and development of children. Right, growth occurs in some stages. So I explain you early childhood, middle childhood, and adolescence. Right now in physical development, right, these stages I told you these stages are prenatal development and uh, first thing is prenatal development, that is prior to the birth, right? We have discussed what happens, and I have shared a note on that as well. Then first stage is infancy or toddlerhood during 0 to 2 years. First year is the infancy, and second and third years are known as toddlerhood. Right. Stages of growth and child development: early childhood, birth to 8 years. Right now, middle childhood is 8 to 12 years, and adolescence 12 to 18 years. Right there in the early childhood, we have divided it into three categories as infancy and toddlerhood 0 to 2, 2 to right, then preschool in age and school in age likewise. So I shared the presentation with you, so uh, you could see some of the development, and there are certain theories which support the child development. Some of these theories are right as I explained to you, right. Right now we have discussed some points about physical development, not all, but basic things. But we have more to discuss. But when it comes to emotional, I mean, most important development of us, that is what is related to our education, is cognitive development, right? When we talk about cognitive development, we deal with some psychologists called Jean Piaget, Lev Vygotsky, Kohlberg, and Eric Erikson. Right, their theories have been given to you. I'll explain them. Right. Now read this: stages of growth and child development. Early childhood. Now, definitions of stage of growth in childhood come from many sources. Theories such as Jean Piaget, Lev Vygotsky, Lawrence Kohlberg, and Erik Erikson have provided ways to understand development, and recent research has provided important information regarding the nature of development. In addition, stages of childhood are defined culturally by the social institutions, customs, and laws that make up a society. The three broad stages of development are early childhood, middle childhood, and adolescence. So the definitions of these stages are organized around the primary task of the development in each stage, though the boundaries of these stages are malleable. Society's ideas about childhood shift over time, and research has had led to new understanding of the development that takes place in each stage. Then the early childhood. Early childhood is a time of tremendous growth across all areas of development. The development newborn grows into a young, the independent newborn grows into a young person who can take care of his or her own body and interact effectively with others. For these reasons, the primary developmental task of this stage is skill development. Physically, between birth and age 3, a child typically doubles in height and quadruples in weight. So this is the thing we have to remember right now. Between the birth and age 3, what happens? What are the significant changes that occur? The child doubles his height and quadruples his weight. He increases his height twice. He double his height, and quadruple means 4 times his weight. Bodily proportions also shift to that the infant whose head accounts for almost 1/4 of total body length. In a small child, his head make up of 1/4 of his body length. When he becomes a toddler with a more balanced adult-like appearance. Despite these rapid physical changes, the typical 3-year-old has mastered many skills, including sitting, walking, toilet training, using a spoon, scribbling, and sufficient hand-eye coordination to catch and throw a ball. Between 3 and 5 years of age, children continue to grow rapidly and begin to develop fine motor skills. So it is during this period, during the preschooling period only, they start developing fine motor skills. By age 5, most children demonstrate fairly good control of pencils, crayons, and scissors. Gross motor accomplishments may include the ability to skip and balance on one foot. Physical growth slows down between 5 and 8 years of age, while body proportions and motor skills become more refined. Physical changes in early childhood. The early childhood are accompanied by rapid changes in the child's cognitive and language development. These physical change, not only physical changes, some cognitive development also takes place. From the moment they are born, children use all their senses to attend to their environment, and they begin to develop a sense of cause and effect from their actions and the responses to caregivers. Over the first 3 years of life, children develop a spoken vocabulary of between 300 to 1,000 words, and they are able to use language to learn about and describe the world around them. By age 5, children's vocabulary will grow to approximately 1,500 words. 5-year-olds are also able to produce 5 to 7 word sentences, learn to use the past tense, and tell familiar stories using pictures as cues. Language is a powerful tool to enhance cognitive development. Using language allows the child to communicate with others and solve problems. By age 8, children are able to demonstrate some basic understanding of less concrete concepts, including time and money. However, the 8-year-old is still reasons in concrete ways and has difficulty understanding abstract ideas. So I will explain what is this right. Actually, during the pre-childhood, okay, socio-emotional development. A key moment in early childhood socio-emotional development occurs around 1 year of age. This is the time when attachment formation becomes critical. Attachment theory suggests that individuals' differences in later life, like functioning and personality, are shaped by a child's early experiences with their caregivers. The quality of emotional attachment or lack of the attachment formed early in life may serve as a model for later relationships. This is why it has been found out that the children, when they are small, they should not be left alone. Their caregiver should be with them. So when right now people who are not given this much of care becomes antisocial elements when in the latter stage of their life. Right, when you read about these criminals and gangsters, you can see most of them have lost their mother at a very early stage, or they haven't got this caring from the adults during their formative years. From ages 3 to 5, growth in social emotional skills include the formation of peer relationships, gender identification, and the development of sense of right and wrong. Taking the perspective of another individual is difficult for young children, and events are often interpreted in all or nothing terms, which the impact on the child being the foremost concern. For example, at age 5, a child may expect others to share their possessions freely, but still be extremely possessive of a favorite toy. This creates no conflict of conscience because fairness is determined relative to the child's own interest. Between age 5 and 8, children enter into a broad peer context and develop enter in friendships. Social comparison is heightened at this stage. And taking the other people's perspective begins to play a role in how children relate to people, including peers. You can read it. Implications for in school learning. The time from birth to 8 years is a critical period in the development of many foundation skills in all areas of development. Increased awareness of the ability to detect. So these things are developed. Developmental delays in very young children has led to the creation of early intervention services that can reduce the need for special education and placements where children reach school age. For example, early detection of hearing deficits sometimes lead to correction of problems before serious language impairment occurs. Also, developmental delays caused by premature birth can be addressed through appropriate therapies to help children function at the level of their typically developing peers before they begin school. Okay, some of these changes are there given there, right? Physical and personal and social, language and cognitive development stages are given. You can read them. When middle childhood, 8 to 12 years. So this is the period Sigmund Freud says has no importance, but others have said that this is a very important period. Right? So we'll see. Historically, middle childhood has not been considered an important stage in human development. Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic theory labeled this period of life the latency stage, a time when sexual and aggressive urges are repressed. Freud suggested that no significant contribution to personality development were made during this period. However, more recent theorists have recognized the importance of middle childhood for the development of cognitive skills, personality, motivation, and interpersonal relationships. During middle childhood, children learn the value of their societies. Thus, the primary developmental task of middle childhood could be called integration, both in terms of development within the individual and the individual within the social context. Perhaps support in the image of middle childhood as a latency stage, physical development during middle childhood is less dramatic than in early childhood or adolescence. Growth is slow and steady until the onset of puberty. When individuals begin to develop at much quicker pace, the age at which the individuals enter puberty varies. But there is evidence of a secular trend. The age at which puberty begins has been decreasing over time. In some individuals, puberty may start as early as age 8 or 9. Onset of puberty differs across gender and begins earlier in the females. As with physical development, the cognitive development of middle childhood is slow and steady. Children in this stage are building upon skills gained in early childhood and preparing for the next phase of their cognitive development. Children's reasoning is very rule-based. Children are learning skills such as classification and forming hypotheses. While they are cognitively more mature now than a few years ago, children in this stage still require concrete hands-on learning activities. Middle childhood is a time when children can gain enthusiasm for learning and work for achievement can become a motivating factor as children work towards building competence and self-esteem. Middle school is also time when children develop competence in interpersonal and social relationships. Children have a growing peer orientation, yet they are strongly influenced by their family. The social skills learned through peer and family relationships, and children, including ability to participate in meaningful interpersonal communication, provide the necessary foundation for the challenges of adolescence. Best friends are important at this stage, and the skills gained in this relationships may provide the building blocks for healthy adult relationships. Okay, now we were talking about middle childhood, right? So middle childhood is the period where the child prepares himself for the adulthood. So adolescence is the period which takes him to the adulthood, right? So from being a very chubby uh, and disproportion and a person with a disproportionate body, especially right, when the children are in the middle childhood, they are very chubby, but as they enter the adolescence, they take a more muscular form, especially this is the period when they develop muscles and all that, and especially females, they develop their sexual organs, and outstanding features are taking place in their bodies. So uh, middle childhood is a very important period, right? Especially right when it comes to cognitive development, it is known as uh, concrete operational period. We'll discuss about this little later. Then go to next part of the note. Implications for in school learning. For many children, middle childhood is a joyful time of increased independence, broader friendships, and developing interests such as sports, art, or music. However, a widely recognized shift in school performance begins for many children in third or fourth grade. The skills required for academic success becomes more complex. Those students who successfully meet the academic challenges during this period go on to do well, while those who fail to build the necessary skills may fall further behind in late grades. So, in terms of building confidence and self-confidence and making impressions among friends, this is a very important period, because the success at this stage lead to success in the later stages, while the failure at this stage develops kind of a sense of inferiority in the child. So he becomes discouraged. Recent social trends, including the increased prevalence of school violence, eating disorders, drug use, and depression, affect many upper elementary school students. Thus, there is more pressure on schools to recognize problems in 8 to 11-year-olds and to teach children the social and life skills that will help them to continue to develop into healthy adolescents. So adolescence is the period of greatest importance, because this is, yes, yeah, okay. So we were talking about the importance of middle childhood. Middle childhood is now actually early childhood is very important for the growth, but now some of the psychologists had said, like Sigmund Freud, middle childhood was not that important, but later on it has been found out that this middle childhood also is very important, because the success of the things they do at this stage will develop confidence in themselves. As a result, they will be successful in their future events. But if they fail to perform certain things, what will happen is they will become discouraged, and that will lead to further failures in the future. Right. So the adolescence, 12 to 18 years, this is a very important period. Right. Adolescence is a period where children turns into adolescence, because they primarily because they develop sexual potential, and sexual maturity occurs during this period. With that, a lot of changes happen, and their bodies takes more shape and more feminine shape for females. For males, it makes more muscular and strength. Adolescence can be defined in a variety of ways: psychological, culturally, cognitively. Each way suggests a slightly different definition. For the purpose of this discussion, adolescence is defined as a culturally constructed period that generally begins as individuals reach sexual maturity and ends when the individual has established an identity as an adult with his or her social context. In many cultures, adolescence may not exist or may be very short because the attainment of sexual maturity coincides with entry into the adult world. In the current culture of the United States, however, adolescence may last well into the early 20s. The primary developmental task of adolescence is identity formation. The adolescence is another period of accelerated growth. Individuals can grow up to 4 inches and gain 8 to 10 pounds per year. This growth spurt is most often characterized by 2 years of fast growth, followed by 3 or more years of slow, steady growth. By the end of the adolescence, individuals may gain a total of 7 to 9 inches in height and as much as 40 or 50 pounds in weight. The timing of this growth spurt is not highly predictable. It varies accordingly across both individual and gender. In general, female begins to develop earlier than do males. Sexual maturation is one of the most significant developments during this time. Like physical development, there is significant variability in the age at which individuals attain sexual maturity. Females tend to mature at about age 13 and males at about 14. Development during this period is governed by the pituitary glands and through the release of hormone testosterone for males and estrogen for females. There has been increasing evidence of a trend towards earlier sexual development in developed countries. The average age at which female reach menarche dropped 3 to 4 months every 10 years between 1900 to 2000. Adolescence is an important period for cognitive development as well. It marks the transition in the way in which individuals think and reason about problems and ideas. In early adolescence, individuals can classify and order subject, reverse process, think logically about concrete objects, and consider more than one perspective at a time. However, at this level of development, adolescents benefit more from direct experience than from abstract ideas and principles. As adolescents develop, more complex cognitive develops, they gain the ability to solve more abstract and hypothetical problems. Elements of this type of thinking may include an increased ability to think in hypothetical ways about abstract ideas. Right. Now it says, what it says is, during this adolescence period, now actually, when you talk about cognitive development, a lot of important developments take place during the adolescence because when they reach adolescence, that is this period is known as the abstract, what we call according to Piaget has divided this into 4 stages: cognitive development, from birth to 2 years sensory motor, then 2 to 7 years pre-operational, then 8 to 11 years as concrete operational, and then 11 onwards formal operational. Basically, during the first stage, in the sensory stage, they develop concept formation, start developing during the first stage. So during the concrete operational stage, children are able to view things only if they have concrete. Now, if they right now they cannot what we call imaginative. They cannot perform imaginative things. Concrete operation means they have to see it. The concrete object should be there to be seen, so that only they will understand. But when it comes to adolescence, in which they enter into this formal operational stage, during that period they can solve hypothetical problems, and they can imagine things, and they can become very creative. We will discuss these things later. Give me a second. Right, you read this. Read the note for a while. Okay, you can read this, right? Child development theories and all that. So that I will explain these things next day. I'll try to share this with you. This note right now. You have anyway you have taken the screenshots. I will try to send it as a I mean, hello. Can you can one of you send me a right? I don't know. I'll send it to Arshad sir, so he will share it with you. Right. That's good. Hello. 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 Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I have shared with you. I will share this note with you. I will send it to Arshad sir. He will send it to you, or else I can send it to one of your WhatsApp group so that you can share among you. Whatever it is, you'll have to read
Yes,
this.
sir.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, dear. Hello. Somebody tried to speak. Who was it? Yes. Yes. Who tried to speak? Please speak. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. We can't see anything on the screen.
Yeah, yeah. I am going to send it to you. Right. Now. Okay. Right. I want you to read this note thoroughly. I will send it to you. How can I send it to you? I don't know whether it is right. 1 minute. Hello. Hello. Uh, hello. Okay. Now we are going to talk about intellectual development. So cognitive development is almost same as the intellectual development. when it comes to intellectual development, right, concepts start taking place. Concept helps the child to understand about direction, location, position, number, quantity, sequence, attributes, dimensions, size, and similarities and differences. Why is understanding concept important? It assists in their ability to follow instructions by be specific in what they are talking about. To use concept in their spoken language, they need to have a good understanding about what these concepts are and what they mean. To follow instructions at home, at preschool, so in the school environment. What are the building blocks necessary to develop understanding of concept? Hearing, attention and concentration, play skills, receptive understanding language. Understanding of language develops before expressive language. In order to be able to use language appropriately, a child first need to be able to understand the specific language area. How can you tell if children have problems understanding concepts, struggle to follow instructions containing concepts, use incorrect concepts in their spoken language, not be able to be specific when talking, and has a tendency to use vague statement? The other problems that can occur when a child has a concept difficulties, they might also have difficulties with following instructions, a receptive language, expressive language, drawing pictures, problem solving, literacy, play skills like that. What activities can help improve concept development? Reading storybooks that have plots and discuss locations, following instructions, hide and seek, teaching colors, scavenger hunt, wash dishes, and other household chores. Why should we seek therapy if we notice the difficulties with understanding concepts in children? So, therapeutic intervention to help a child with concept difficulties is important to enable a child to be able to cope better in the kindergarten and school environment. Enable a child to be more active participant in classroom activities, or to enhance a child's vocabulary and ability to communicate with others. If left untreated, what can difficulties understanding concept lead to? And if we fail to treat to these concept understanding difficulties, then the children will have to face these problems. They might also have difficulties with following instructions within the home, preschools, or school environment, restricted vocabulary whereby a child cannot clearly get their messages across, bullying when others become more aware of a child's difficulties, literacy difficulties including reading and writing. What type of therapy is recommended for understanding concept difficulties? Consult a speech therapist. If there are multiple areas of concern, both occupational therapy and speech therapy may be recommended. So why concepts are important is a self-check. What actions help children to develop understanding of concepts? What are the building blocks necessary to develop an understanding of concepts? So we will talk about these concepts right later on. Right now, so now I'm going to share with you a very important slideshow that is on stages of development, intellectual stages of development by Jean Piaget. Jean Piaget is Okay, intellectual stages of development by Jean Piaget. Right. According to Jean Piaget, intellectual development occurs in some stages. These stages are sensory motor stage, pre-operational stage, and concrete operational stage, and formal operational stage. We are going to discuss these things. The child begins to interact with the environment during the sensory motor stage, which is 0 to 2 years. Then the pre-operational stage is the period child begins to represent the world symbolically. So this is the period when he starts learning language and all that. Cognitive development stage. The stage the child learns rules such as conservation. What is that? We will discuss. So 1 minute. Personal formal operational stage, the period the adolescent can translate the concrete situation and think about the future. During this happens from childhood to adulthood. Who is Jean Piaget? We will see. Jean Piaget was a Swiss developmental psychologist. His theory of intellectual or cognitive development is still used today in some branches of education and psychology. It focuses on children from birth to adolescence and characterizes different stages of development, including language, morals, memory, reasoning. According to him, cognitive development occurs through the interaction of innate capacities and environmental events, and children pass through them in a series of stages. Piaget made several assumptions about children while developing his theory. Now, to tell you about the importance of Jean Piaget, he found out these things by experimenting for over 20 years. He did the experiment on his own children. He had 3 children. He made all these experiments with his children. So that he is considered as a scientist who has dedicated a lot of time for cognitive development. So most of he and his wife's young life was spent, young married life was spent on experimenting on this. Children build the so they form these ideas. Children build their own knowledge based on their experiences. Children can learn things on their own without influence from adults or older children. Children are motivated to learn by nature. They don't need rewards and motivation. So these were the assumptions he made. So the stage, the stages he described as sensory motor stage, birth to 2 years, pre-operational stage 2 to 7 years, concrete operation stage 7 to 11 years, and formal operation stage 12 and up. We'll see what the now see sensory motor stage, age, and the characteristic. Motor activity without use of symbols. All things learned are based on experience or trial and error. Even the sensory motor stage, right? Motor activities, and they are not able to use the language. So no symbol usage. All things learned are based on experience. They learn things on experience or trial and error. We'll see what is trial and error, right? Right. So goal of this age is object permanence. Pre-operational 2 to 7 years, development of language, memory, and imagination. Intelligence is both egocentric and intuitive. So symbolic thoughts occurs during this period. Now, what does it mean? Intelligence is both egocentric and intuitive, right? He thinks in terms of from his own perspective only. So during this period, children are egocentric, means they're very selfish, and also They think of the world from their own perspective, right? Things are important to them only if it benefits them, otherwise not. Likewise, then concrete operational, right? Now this is why we say most of our politicians are still in this age. They are in the pre-operational stage because they are very selfish and do things only for their own benefit. So concrete operational stage, 7 to 11 years, more logical and methodological manipulation of symbols, less egocentric and more aware of the outside world and the events. So their goal is operational thought. So this is the middle childhood period during which they are concrete operational. They can perform certain things during this period because they start developing imaginative thinking and all that during this, but it is not completely achieved. Formal operational is the adolescent to adulthood. Use of symbols to relate to abstract. So abstract thinking occurs only when they reach formal operational stage. This is why right now I want to tell you something right now. When do we teach children geometry? Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
At what age do we start teaching geometry to children? Geometry? In which class do the geometry lessons start? Grade 8, I think. Is it 8 or 9? Hello. Can you understand my question?
So as I remember, grade 6 maybe.
No, not 6. I think as I remember it is grade 8. Grade 8. So grade 8 is what when they are in grade 8, grade 7, I think. Grade 7, when they are grade 7, what is their age? 7 plus 5. They are almost 12. So that means they have reached this stage, formal operational stage. When they reach the formal operational stage only, they are able to understand abstract concepts. So in geometry, you deal with abstract concepts. No concrete objects are there. So so that is why teaching geometry and all that things are started at this stage. Prior to that, they are not able to understand these things. Now we are talking about Piaget, right? So some very important concepts are there in Piaget. We'll deal with them. Sensory motor. The sensory motor stage covers children's age birth to 24 months. Characteristics include motor activity without use of symbols. All things learned are based on experiences of trial and error. So they see the world with right. How do the children develop concepts? Right. Actually, children observe their environment with their sensory organs. What are the sensory organs? Hello. What are the sensory organs? Please answer. What are your sensory organs? Your eyes? Yes.
Yes.
Ears?
Yes,
Yeah.
nose.
Nose, tongue, and all that, and also your skin, through which you can feel outside sensations. Right. So likewise, children, right? First, they develop. I mean, they interact with the world with their sensory organs. Then they develop certain concepts which are known as schemas, right? So the main goal of sensory motor stage is object permanence. They understand that objects have a separate existence without them. The main goal at this stage is establishing an understanding of object permanence. In other words, knowing that an object still exists even if you can't see it or it's hidden. Right. During the sensory motor, latter part of the sensory motor stage, they develop object permanence. Now, especially now suppose when you are cuddling a child, very small child, maybe about 1 year old child, right now, because now he started crying because you took away whatever the object he wanted to touch. He now suppose he sees something and he start crying, so you hide it. So what will happen? The child forget. Child stop crying. Why? Because right, that object is not in his. It is not in his vision. Not in his. He cannot see. That means he cannot see means he he thinks that that object doesn't exist. That is because he doesn't understand the object permanence, right? Now, but if you hide a thing like that, when the child is more than 2 years old, he will try to find it out, because he and by this time he has understand what is called object permanence. Object permanence is knowing that an object still exists even if you can't see or if it is hidden. Right, pre-operational stage. The pre-operation stage can be seen in children ages 2 to 7. Memory and imagination are developing during this period. Children at this age are egocentric. Pre-operational during this period, they are very egocentric, which means they have difficulty thinking outside of their own viewpoints. The main achievement of this stage is being able to attach meaning to objects with language. Right. And also it is thinking about things symbolically. Right. Symbolical thought is a type of thinking where a word or object is used to represent something other than itself. Pre-operational. So these are the features. Concrete operational. Children are much less egocentric in the concrete operational stage. It falls between the age of 7 to 11 years old and is marked by more logical and methodological manipulation of symbols. The main goal at this stage is for a child to start working things out inside their head. This is called operational thought, and it allows kids to solve problems without physically encountering things in the real world. Concrete operational, right. Then formal operation. Children 11 years old and or 11 years and above fall into this Piaget's formal operational thought stage. The milestones of this period is using symbols to understand abstract concepts. All the kids and adults also think about multiple variables and come up with hypotheses based on previous knowledge. Piaget believed that once a person reaches the formal operational stage, it is more about building upon knowledge, not knowing how it is acquired or understood. Right. So schema, assimilation and accommodation and equilibration. Right. These are some of the few concepts we are going to talk about. Right. Okay. Before that, I want to see whether you could understand, right, these stages. Okay. So now what are we talking about? We are talking about cognitive development of children. Right. So for cognitive development children, some of the theories have been postulated by a well-known psychologist called Jean Piaget. So these Piagetian theories. So according to Piaget, right, what are the stages of cognitive development? Hello. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Hello.
Also,
Okay. Then right now let's come to this. So what are the stages? Sensory motor. Yes. Hello. Piaget divided development into some stages. What are those stages? Sensory motor stage from 0 to 2 years. So what is the main goal of this stage? Object permanence. What is called object permanence? Hello. Hello, what is object permanence?
Nothing.
What is object permanence? Yes. Objects have a separate existence. What is object permanence? Objects have a separate existence. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. So right now I told you, right, when the small kids are around, sometimes if they start crying, you happen to hide it. When you hide it, right, they stop crying because once out of sight means uh, for them it doesn't exist because they haven't developed object permanence. This happens at the very early stages, but when they are 2 3 3 4 years like that, they will try to find it, search it somewhere, and they still cry for asking for it, because even if it is not in the site, they know that it has on its own existence. This is what is known as object permanence, knowing that an object still exists even if you can't see it or it's hidden. So pre-operation is the second stage, that is 2 to 7 years. What are the important significant features in this stage? They develop their memory and imagination. One very important thing is they are very egocentric in their thinking. Egocentric means they are very selfish. They look at things from their own perspectives only. Things are important to them only if they benefit, if they have this benefit for them. And also they start thinking symbolically. So during this stage, they develop an idea called idea about conservation. Conservation is what? Conservation is means even right now sometimes this it's more like this. Suppose right, you get you get similar amount of similar volume of water into suppose you have 1 liter, one liter of water, 2 bottles of 1 liter of water. Right. Then you put it into two different vessels. One is thin and tall, the other is not that tall, but it's wide. So what right, you put the same amount of water into two different volumes, I mean two different vessels, and when it is shown to a child and asked which has more water, the children of early pre-operational stage tend to say that the taller vessel has more water, right? Because they don't understand that just because the volume changes, mass doesn't change. So right. So concrete operational is what? They develop operational thoughts. That means they are able to solve problems physically without physically encountering them in real world. Concrete operational. Children are, but during this period they are less egocentric. So they are able to methodically manipulate symbols, and they start kind of logical thinking. So at this stage they start working things out inside their head. So this working things out inside the head is known as operational thought. And this operation thought allow kids to solve problems without physically encountering things in the real world. Formal operational is the stage where they are able to really solve problems, and they develop imaginative thinking and abstract. They can think in abstract forms. Children 11 years old and older fall into this Piaget's formal operational stage. Milestones of this period is using symbols to understand abstract concepts. Older children and adults also think about multiple variables. So at this stage they can think about, they can concentrate on only one thing, but on many things they can concentrate on. Right. They are able, right. They think about multiple variables and come up with hypotheses based on previous knowledge. Piaget believed that once a person reaches the formal operational stage, it is more about building upon knowledge, not changing how it is acquired or understood. Okay, schema, assimilation and accommodation and equilibration. So schema is a very important concept. Schema is a kind of it's a concept. There are a variety of terms Piaget used in his theory to explain cognitive development and how it is achieved at different stages. Schema is a term he used to represent the building blocks of knowledge. So schema is a building block of knowledge. You may think of a schema as different index cards inside the brain. Each one informs the individual on how to react to new information or situation. Actually, schema is a kind of a concept that is built up in us, in our mind. Now, say for example, the concept of water, right? It's a building block, right? So that is a schema. So when schema will, so other important terms are assimilation. Assimilation is using an existing schema and applying it to a new situation or object. Accommodation is changing approaches when an existing schema doesn't work in a particular situation. Equilibration is the drive force that moves all development forward. Piaget didn't believe that development progressed steadily. Instead, it moved in leaps and bounds according to experiences. Okay. Now, we learned about some new concept called schema. What is a schema? Hello. In order to explain cognitive development, Piaget uses some terms called schema. Schema is what? Hello, can you hear me? What is a schema? It's a term he used to represent the building block. It is a building block of knowledge, schema. So how we perceive a certain thing, right? For the first time, right? When you see something, right? So you develop a schema. That is a building block. Right? It's a kind of a concept. So what happens is this schema right now, suppose now okay, schema is a schema is a term he used to represent the building blocks of knowledge. So assimilation and accommodation. Now actually, right, children, right, when they, right, they have a schema, sucking schema they have, right, when they were very small, they have a sucking schema. That is, they know how to suck milk from their mother, right? So it is it is there, right? So when mother's breast is there, they tend to suck it. Okay. So what is assimilation? We'll see. Right now, since the first schema these children know is sucking, right? So they will try to experiment. When suppose when they come across a toy, what they will do is they will try to they will try to suck it and see how it tastes. Right. This is assimilation. Assimilation is we'll see what is assimilation. is using an existing schema.
Incorporation.
Yeah, using an existing schema and applying it to a new situation or object. Now they are used to sucking milk from the mother. So yeah, so sucking schema is already there. So that is their existing knowledge. So when they encounter new thing also, what they will do is they will try to experience it with the way they know. So that is why they try to put everything into mouth, right? So that is assimilation. Assimilation is using an existing schema and applying it to a new situation or object. Okay, right. So that is assimilation, right? Now, when the child understand that the toy, he cannot understand the toy by sucking, right? He will change his approach towards the towards trying to understand the toy. So that is accommodation. Accommodation is change in approaches when an existing schema doesn't work in a particular situation. Right. So equilibration is what is the driving force that moves all development forward. Piaget didn't believe that development progressed steadily. Instead, it moved in leaps and bounds according to the experiences. Okay. Now we know what is assimilation, what is accommodation. Equilibration, I will have to explain a little bit more because you don't understand with this. We'll see. Right. How to apply Piaget's stages to learning and development. Teachers and parents can help by providing children with different experiences or ways to explore an environment with the environment. It is through these experiences that children may gain understanding of different concepts in a hands-on way. You can also help your child throughout the stages by catering to their specific learning style at a time. So during the sensory motor stage, what you have to do to help your child is use real objects in play activities, connect play to the five senses, implement routines for the youngest children. They are predictable and may be highly useful with developing communication. Pre-operational stage. Children learn best by doing. Allow them to actively interact with a variety of things in their environment, including books, people, games, and objects. Ask questions while children are engaged in a daily routine and allow them to come up with new ideas, their own ideas. Point out new things and encourage children to question you about those things. Concrete operation, how can you help? Create timelines, three-dimensional models, science experiment, because the concrete operation stage is the stage where they want to see things. Then only they will be able to perform things. So they cannot imagine. That is why they need these three-dimensional models, science experiments, and other ways to manipulate abstract concepts. Use brain tracers and riddles to foster analytical thinking. Focus on open-minded questioning. Formal operations offer step-by-step explanations of concepts and utilize charts and other visual aids. Now visual aids, formal operation, actually visual aids are more important during the concrete operation stage than formal operational stage. Explore hypothetical situations. You may relate them to current events or social issues. Broaden concept whenever possible. For example, if talking about a civil war, discuss the other issues that have divided the country since that time. So these are the disadvantages of Piaget's theory. Researchers argue that Piaget may have underestimated children's abilities to use in confusing terms and particularly difficult tasks in his observations. In other studies, children have been successful with demonstrating knowledge of certain concepts of skills when they were presented in a simpler way. Okay, right. Now I will send you the notes, both notes of this and earlier ones. All right, I can share with you. How can I send it to you? Right, shall I send it to Arsha, sir, so he will send it to you. Is it all right?
Okay, sir.
Because I can send it through WhatsApp. We don't have a WhatsApp group here, no, right? So I can't send it like that. So next day I will explain you, right? Now we have discussed cognitive development, some of the key concepts and all that. So I did not explain you what is right. I think
Accommodation.
accommodation I explain you. Accommodation I explain you, I think. That is changing one's mode of approach to cope with the new situation is accommodation. Now suppose, right, how can I say? Now suppose a situation like this where, all right, child experience something with his mouth, but he gets something like a ball which he cannot put into his mouth and see what it is. So he will try to deal with it in a different way than the way he is used to do. I mean, than the way he knows. Not applying the what. So schema is what? What is schema? It's a building block for understanding. So what assimilation is using the existing schema to cope with the new situation. Usually when new thing happen, that's what children do, right? Because they are used to suck. So whenever they come across new things, they used to they try to put it in his mouth and experience it. Failing in that, they will try some other method. So failing to apply the existing schema and changing the approach for experimenting it is what we call accommodation. So I did not explain, I explain you what is assimilation and accommodation, but I did not explain you the other concept, or what is called equilibration. I will explain it to you next week, and also some of the other features in the physical development. Next day I will explain you, and I will send you some notes for both these stages. Okay. So I'll speak to Arsha sir and send him this, so he will share with you. Okay. Shall we stop?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Good night.
Good night.